Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Welcome to our Silver Creator Award winning channel, USA Global TV and Radio, where we proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and I am repping, I'm a top 10 TV show host sweatshirt. That's right. I'm super excited to be wearing it. It's a little crop top, so it's kind of sexy too, and it's keeping me warm. But who cares about that? We care about our show for today, which is a woman's prerogative. And our topic is the courage to say no. First of all, I want to welcome all of you here today. And I also want to thank E360 TV for taking us out over their airwaves. And I have a special announcement, which is hot off the press, just arrived, the workbook, not to be confused with the book. Now we've got book, workbook. Okay, everything you need so you can learn about judgment. Okay, I want to bring out the star of our show. She is joining us from Australia, where they're already a day ahead of us if you're here in the good US of A. And her name is Mariska du Preez. I think I said her name wrong for probably 4 years. And so every time I say it, I think to myself, I hope I'm saying it right. But Mariska is her name, and she is a top level certified coach. She works with teams, she works with leaders, she works with engineers, and she's working with me tonight on this show. Let's bring her out. Hello.
Hello. And it is wonderful to be here and to be back with you. And loving the sweatshirt.
Woo! Thank you. You know, I really was saying your name. I think it was saying Mariska du Preez for a long time, but the du Preez, to me, Preez is French almost, but I don't even think that's correct. What is the exact pronunciation?
Well, it is French. It's a French surname. So yes, and your pronunciation is correct. The Z at the end, even though it's spelt with a Z, it's not pronounced with a Z. Fantastic. So your pronunciation is 100%. And of course, luckily for you, I am not very fussed about how you pronounce my name because my siblings desensitized me for name pronunciations a long time ago. So as long as I know that it's me that you're referring to, we are good.
Fantastic. Well, I love your flexibility in that area. I've been named Jacalyn, Jacalyn. And I grew up being called Jackie. And I think I've told you this. And at some point in my life, I decided I no longer wanted to be called Jackie because I had a doctorate and I wanted to be Dr. Jacalyn. And it was difficult for people to make the switch, especially my family. And some of my family members actually really worked on it hard so that they could remember. And then today, I find it so interesting. And it kind of gets into our topic of the courage to say no, is I'll meet someone and they'll say, what is your name? And there are many times, believe it or not, especially in business, I will say my name is Dr. Jacalyn because I have it trademarked. It's registered. I have my necklace. Where is it? Dr. Jacalyn. And so to me, that is my persona. That is who I am. But people will right away go into either Dr. Jackie, which I'm like, my eyes are flying open, or just Jackie. So I thought to myself, why is it this is bothering me? So anyway, now I just say, thank you so much, but no, I prefer to be called this. And I'm sure people think, wow, she is really a witch, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel right if you're not called by the proper name. What do you think?
From your explanation, especially when you were younger, being one name and then people having to change it to something else, something similar happened, not to me, but to my brother. So when we were little, we used to call my brother, but in Afrikaans, of course. So Boetie would be the Afrikaans for it. And we used to always call him brother. So we never used to call him on his name until one day I asked my mom what his name is, his actual name, the one on his birth certificate. And she told me, and I said, oh, so it's not brother? And she said, no, he is your brother, but it's not his name. I said, okay, great. So I conspired with my sister, and I did not call her sister, right? I called her on her name. And between the both of us, we decided that we, from now on, will call my brother by his actual name. And we started doing that. And he was very upset. I think he was about 3 or 4 years old at the stage. And he insisted that we please just go back to calling him brother. Of course, it took some time, and we had to get used to calling him by his name too and remembering his name. But now, luckily, after years, he is used to being called by his name and not just brother anymore. But to your point, Dr. Jacalyn, it is something that we get very attached and used to. And brother wasn't even my brother's name. It was just who he was in the family structure. So it is good to understand what people like to be called for whatever their reason is, and to try our very, very best to at least get the pronunciation as close as possible to what they have to it, because for some people it is a lot more important to get the pronunciation just right. And for other people, I mean, I could have gone 2 ways. I could have said, well, I am insisting that my name gets called exactly how I want it to be. And as I said, my siblings desensitized me for that notion. Or I could have just gone, okay, I know you are referring to me, so that's fine. And that's as close as you're going to get with it. I'm not going to make an issue about it. And that is really a personal preference. And yes, the power of no goes in. If your preference is something other than what you are receiving, it's like a cup of coffee. You don't have to drink bad coffee. You can say, no, thank you. I would like a different cup. All good. Same with the name.
I love that analogy. That's terrific. Thank you. It's true, because if you are not standing up for yourself, if you're not setting that boundary, you might be feeling resentment. And if you're feeling resentment, it's really on you because you didn't step up and say something. So I think it's important to be able to say, okay, I hear what you're saying. I prefer this. And I know what some people have said to me. A couple people, believe it or not, they're like, well, you're Jackie to me. Okay. And what is your point? And so I'll ask, what is your point? And so the point that one person said to me is that Jackie is kind of like a soft, sweet, feminine woman. And Dr. Jacalyn is like, business, go, go, go. And I'm like, but that is me. That is who I am. That's who I am.
I want to, do they know you
exactly.
at all?
It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. But I have found that many times in life, and I'm not saying right now for me, but definitely for me in the past, it's difficult to say no, especially if you know or suspect you're going to hurt someone's feelings. And so there are many people out there who are people pleasers, and they are always yes. And somebody said to me this sentence I'm going to share with you, and I love your thoughts on it. Someone shared with me, if you have the ability to say yes, why not just do it? What are your thoughts on a surface level, and then maybe even deeper as a coach? If you have the ability to say yes, just do it.
Well, the ability to say yes presumes, for me, if I have the ability to say yes, it's almost like if you take the word responsibility, we are all responsible for everything that we do and say and commit to, right? And responsibility, if we break the word up into two, you can make response and ability. So do I have the ability to respond? Now, if I say yes, if I have the ability to say yes, do I also have the ability to respond to that? And do I want to respond to that? So that's where our intention comes in. And I know, Dr. Jacalyn, I normally, at some point during our conversation, will bring in this idea of intention. And that to me is really do I have the intention of actually committing to whatever the input is that is required for this thing? And if I say yes to this thing, what then am I saying no to? Because now I might not have the response or ability to respond to a lot of other things that might be even more important to me. So I might be shooting myself in the foot if I just say yes. So I'm not sure whether I completely agree with that person's analogy of it. And it would be great to actually find out how they are thinking about it. So we might do a yes and sort of scenario where it might be a combination of different things and not just one, because no one thing is just black or white. We always operate in gray.
Very true. And, I think part of what comes up for me about that saying yes, if you can, is every time we say yes to something, we are taking energy and space away from something else that might be where our path really is. So because we are unable to, don't want to, afraid to say no, now we're going down a path where we really don't want to be. And it's interesting because I actually had this conversation with someone recently that they are a role model. They are someone who inspires. And so they have a lot of people reaching out to them. And by continuously being there and answering questions and promoting and leading, their own energy level is declining. Because I call it vampire energy vampires, where they're just coming and sucking the energy right out of you. And you have to be able to set a boundary. And that means saying no, saying that, I'm not going to be available all the time, even though for this person, I'm available on social media. I'm not going to be answering all of your messages. I'm not going 24/7 with your WhatsApp calls, which, by the way, why doesn't WhatsApp have the ability for us to leave a message? The same thing with Facebook Messenger. It just rings endlessly. I mean, somebody will just keep calling, ringing, and it never goes anywhere. It doesn't go away.
That is a very good question. It's potentially, hey, whoever writes the code for WhatsApp, there's a few functionality things that you guys might need to look at. If ever they get the message, hopefully they do. And in saying that, what I find baffling is that social media, or people in general, utilize social media as a free-for-all all the time. Now, if you think about your physical house, right, you have curtains, I'm sure, or hopefully. If you are in the middle of nowhere, you might not have curtains, who knows? Or you might be a voyeur, liking other people to look at you, so you don't have curtains. But you will have doors. Your house will have doors. There will be some way, shape, or form for you to secure the content of your home inside of itself from the external world. Now, social media and boundaries are a little bit like the doors on your house. You don't want anybody and everybody just to be stepping and coming into your home, physical house, all the time, do you? Well, I don't. I don't think anybody would like it if all of the time, whether you are, I don't know, packing away your groceries, sleeping, going for a bath, whatever it is that you might be doing at that stage, have a physical open door policy? No. And yet, we do this with social media. Why? Please explain it to me, because I don't get it. I really don't. Dr. Jacalyn, do you have a clue why people do this?
No, I really don't. I'm laughing over here. I really don't. I don't, for me, and you and I have discussed this before, like, so I'm on social media every day, and it's part of what we do for this business. I'm running a television network, and part of the places that we stream are on social media. I also do press releases for people, and I have to put in social media. So I'm on here quite a bit. And I actually have gotten my social media channels to just promote positive things that I'm interested in seeing. You can actually train it. I think we talked about this before. So I think some people must be training it for negativity and a way of just putting out content that is supposed to be shocking, maybe just to get people to follow them or something. I'm not really sure. But with social media, we have the ability to say no also, because we can unfollow people, or we can choose. And I love this. The other day I went and looked at something. I'm trying to remember what it was I looked at. And all of a sudden it was on my Facebook feed. I'm like, what? It's like, I looked at buying something, and then it was on the Facebook feed. And so I thought, no, I don't like this at all. I don't like how it is, but I haven't figured out yet. But we do have the ability to say no to what's in our environment, right? To what's in our home. I love that reference that you brought about people coming into your home. What's the word? Figuratively. And then also people really coming into your home. I know for my home, I have a decal on the door that says, please remove your shoes. I'm sure people don't like that. But the truth is, I don't want that outside dirt coming into my home. I don't want it. And so if we think about this as our home, we can decide that we don't want certain things coming into it. And so therefore we have the ability to say no. And another thing I think, and I love your opinion on this one, is there are times when someone will tell me no, and I have a lot of respect for them, because I think to myself, they have boundaries. They don't have the time. They can't make it a priority. And I appreciate that. Thank you for not wasting my time.
Yes. And thank you for letting me know, right? Because now I know if it was something urgent, now I know I need to go somewhere else or look at a different type of solution. If you didn't tell me and you just said yes, I would be waiting for your yes forever, get very disappointed because I don't get whatever it is that we discussed, and then I'll be upset. To me, that's way worse.
Agreed.
I'd rather the person just say, no, sorry, I can't. You don't even need to give me, no is a full sentence. You don't need to give me an excuse or a reason. It's got nothing to do with me. I asked the question, you gave me the answer, we're done.
And by the way, we've talked about this before. When you give an explanation or an excuse or your story, it typically gets judged by the other person, and they start measuring whatever it is that they asked you to do. Now you're giving an excuse, and they're thinking, oh, okay, so you having to do this obviously is more important than you doing this with me. And then it just becomes even worse. So you just say, I'm really sorry, but I'm unable to do that. And there's no explanation.
There's no explanation required. I mean, if the question was, will you be able to do X, Y, Z? No, I'm not. I don't need to tell you why I'm not able to do it. It might be anything from my cat needs feeding to my dad's sick. It doesn't matter. The question was, will you be able to assist me? And the answer is no. That's it. There's nothing else about it. And I think having worked with quite a few people-pleasing personalities over time, one of the biggest things that we typically have to work on is the ability to help that person realize what impact their yes has, especially if we have empty yeses. Because then a no is a lot more impactful. As you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, a lot more respected as well. And we're actually only committing to the things that we can really do and or care about. So, and we don't all have the same value system. We don't all have the same anything really, because we are all individual human beings. So per your mentioning of the judgment, we don't need to have all of those other fluffy things around us. It's not required. For some odd reason, somewhere in our social setting, somewhere, we decided that we need to justify so that we can let the person down softly. Well, who are we to decide what is soft for that person? You just give me a no, that to me is letting me down softly. If you give me no with a very long reason, you're just trying to make yourself feel better. Oh, that's my thinking about it in any case. How about you, Dr. Jacalyn?
I totally agree with you. I think that's really spot on. And I think when we learn how to say no, because it is a skill, because you want to feel good in your body about it. You don't want to be up all night tossing and turning like, oh, I said no, I should have said yes. Sometimes people go through that remorse. And it's a skill set that you practice. And once you've practiced it and you've mastered it, you really don't think anything about it later, because now it's on the other person. That person can receive the no any way they want, and they have to deal with it. They have to think about, well, how am I showing up for the no? Am I freaking out? Am I throwing a temper tantrum? Am I slamming the phone down? That's their behavior, and we can't control that. But so often we really think that we can outthink the other person. Did you ever like have a conversation with a client or somebody, and it's kind of like, well, I thought if I did this, then they would do that, like a chess game, right? Where you're moving the pieces around, and it typically doesn't work out because we can't know what someone else is thinking or feeling. They might be happy you said no. They could have actually asked you because they felt guilty not asking you, but they really wanted to ask someone else. And they thought, okay, so I'm so glad that they said no, because I really don't want them anyway.
And I love the mentioning of the mental chess. Yes, don't we do mental chess so often? The worst part is we're not even playing the same game most of the time. I might be playing chess and the other person is playing checkers. We don't even have the same rules that we are playing according to. And now we want to try and figure out their next move. And, well, I think they will think about it this way. Did I ask them? No, I didn't. I just assumed. And there's a saying about assuming stuff. So very dangerous thing to be doing mental chess or whatever game it is that you are playing mentally, because you are only playing it with yourself, which means whatever upset you feel, you've created for yourself, or whatever victory you feel, you've still created for yourself, because you haven't actually played this thing out in real life to see what this other person will actually do. Whereas if we didn't play any games and we just ask the question and receive whatever the answer is, then it's a surprise, regardless of what the answer is, yes or no. And who knows? If I have an attachment, of course, to my yes or no, that's where another small little niggle might come in. But that's my attachment, right? It's my thing. It's not the person I asked's thing. So why do we want to always take responsibility for everybody else's stuff and not just take responsibility for our own stuff? Because if we each and every one of us only take responsibility for our own things, and the person next to us take responsibility for their own things, we've got all the things covered. And nobody needs to be worried about anybody else's stuff because they've got it. And it's nice and easy. So I don't know, Dr. Jacalyn, what is it that you see? Because I know that you have the book around judgment, and I know that you have loads of conversations in this space. So what is it that you are experiencing and seeing from other people?
Well, the one thing that I am really wanting to bring in here, because I started doing some research on it, is about game theory. And I might have mentioned this before, but I'm not an expert in any way. There was a movie that was created based on the life of, I believe, John Nash. It was A Beautiful Mind. Did you see that with Russell Crowe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very long time ago. So
it was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe there were two other people who invented game theory, and then John Nash made some enhancements to it. But it's kind of my understanding like this, and then we'll segue back to what we're talking about. If you are going on a journey and you are in your car and you're driving and your GPS, at least here in the States, the one I have, turns red if there's a lot of traffic coming up, or yellow if it's slowing down. And you see the red coming up, right? And you can anticipate it's about 2 miles, and you think to yourself, you redirect, whatever. I'll get off at this exit. I'll go over here and I'll go over there. But while you're thinking that, the people ahead of you are already doing that. So now that is blocked and clogged. And so every action is anticipated already. So when we as humans start to think that we can outwit the other person, or we know them so well, we know exactly what it is they're going to do, that's not necessarily true, because they may be anticipating what you're anticipating, and they're changing their own behavior. So it gets so convoluted that we get so mired in all of this, instead of just being direct and saying, Mariska, would you like to do this? And whatever your answer is, then we go with the answer. The answer is no, thank you. Thank you so much. I'll move on. Or Mariska says yes, but she's really a no. And she says yes because she doesn't want to let me down. It's kind of funny. I've had people tell me that they've done things because I asked them to do it, and they just want to do whatever I asked them to do. Like, you know what? That's on you. I'm not taking that as flattery, because you're not really making a commitment to do something you want to do. You're doing it because you feel you should do it, or you want me to do it, and you have to own that.
Yes, it is a decision. Nobody made it except for us, right? We're the ones making the decisions. We can't blame anybody else for those decisions. And to your point on the game theory, yes, I have seen people get stuck in traffic for quite some time, especially when trying to take the little side roads and other things. And then you are stuck on a road that, once it clears, still takes you longer to get wherever it is that you want to get. So, and it is a decision point, right? It's our decision point. We decided to stay on the freeway or get off it at whatever point, and then play the game or don't play the game.
Exactly. And it kind of reminds me of, because I just had a question from someone today about search engine optimization. It kind of reminds me of the YouTube and the Facebook, and I don't know about LinkedIn or Instagram, but it kind of reminds me of what they do with their algorithms. So we have a team of people who work on USA Global TV and radio, and now I just hired them for Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. They're experts for search engine optimization. So they understand the algorithm behind YouTube, and YouTube knows that. So what do you think they do? So many times during a year, they change it. So everybody's going this way. Now they're going, whoop, no, we're going this way. So now your team has to know and understand so that they can anticipate in advance. But then you can't do it in advance because YouTube already knows that. They already know you're going to be anticipating in advance. So it really does take people who are experts in this and understand, I would think, game theory, but I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not an expert in this area.
Neither am I. I do enjoy watching the moves, though, and seeing what happens. And sometimes there's a pileup, and sometimes there's not. The one thing that I have found works really well is to bring your own creativity, because nobody else can do that, and nobody else can anticipate that. So the likelihood of you actually being able to be on a free road open to yourself and doing whatever it is that you want is increased if you actually bring your own brilliance to the table. And I think that's something that people forget to do. They are so honed into the algorithms, the games other people are playing, they forget that they get to play their own game and they can make their own rules and they can do it the way that they want. They are still working within a bigger system. Yes, I get that. And I'm not saying we don't work in a bigger system. The thing is, we don't need to let the tail wag the dog. So remember, you are the dog, not the tail.
Well, you know what I just want to add in reference to traffic, because I always think this is interesting, is something's going on one side of the highway, or in California, they call it the freeway, and people stop as they're driving by to see what it is. And so now everything's slowed down on this side, and you can see on the opposite side, you can see how far back the traffic is stopped. And I remember that there was a program, I want to say it was 48 hours, 60 minutes, Dateline, one of these programs. I don't know which one, so don't quote me. But they actually did a study, or they had a study done that referenced once there's an accident or there's some kind of police interference, it's a 10-mile backup can ensue from that one thing where people are looking on the opposite side of the highway to see what's going on. I thought that's really fascinating. So now when I see a police officer or I see something that's not an accident, obviously, I think, why are you doing it? Don't you know about the 10-mile rule? Don't you know that you're stopping and doing whatever people are going to, they pull someone over for a ticket and everybody slows down, and it's quite interesting. So, of course, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, except maybe it's the power to say, don't do it there. I don't know.
Say no. Do not look.
That's right. Just say no. But in saying no, I think we gain a certain level of confidence, maturity, and I think it's also a way of looking at it as an acceptable decision. It's an opportunity to actually be in alignment with your intuition.
It is. It is. I think a lot of the times we are a social species, right? I want you to like me. I want you to follow me. I want you to do whatever the things are that people these days want to get done so that they can feel accepted. That's normal. We want to belong. We are a social species. It's in our heart wiring, right? You are born with it in it, because otherwise you would have died. We thrive because we are a social species. The thing is, for some odd reason, somewhere along the line, we thought that, well, because I'm part of this social system, I need to agree with everything inside of said social system. And way back when we were still carrying clubs and living in caves, that might have been true, because if you didn't agree with your family members, they would kick you out and the tiger will eat you. Nowadays, that's not the case anymore, although physically it might still feel that way. And I think that's potentially where some of this, yes, people-pleasing type of things come in, and why no can feel so scary. And breaking it down for ourselves and going, okay, so why actually is no scary for me as an individual, as a human being? What happened? What is happening in my head that's telling me that no is a scary proposition? I had a very interesting experience a couple of weekends back. We had our strategic weekend with the rest of the ICF team in Australasia. And one of the people in our team loves debate. And if I say loves debate, I mean really loves debate. I sometimes think that this person would take the counterpoint just so that they can have a debate. That's how much they love debate. And then there's other people within that same team that does not like it at all. And speaking to that person, it was really around, well, I don't care about being right. I just want to get it right. I want to get us to a good answer. It's not going to necessarily be the right answer, but if we have all the ideas on the table, if we have had a rigorous debate about this thing, if we said, no, I don't agree, and put in why and what it is that we are seeing or thinking, then we can actually come up with a better solution to the problem. Whereas if we just say yes, 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 and everybody agrees about everything, well, where do we really get to, right? We have a whole bunch of yes people in the room, and we're not really solving the problem to the best of our ability. So there's a lot to be said of what's happening for us in a physical level, as well as what is actually happening for us in a social level. And I know that there is environments that is toxic, and we cannot necessarily voice our no comfortably or safely. And then there's other areas where you can do that. And I almost want to implore people to go and look for the areas where you can go and test your no until you are so comfortable with that no that you can use it anywhere at any time. Because Dr. Jacalyn, I don't know what you've seen, but I know that you are an avid exercise-inist. I know that's not a word. And by exercising our muscles, we get stronger. So if we don't exercise it, not so strong. And that's the same with saying no. If we say no once, it might feel awkward. If we do it twice, it might still feel awkward. But if we have done it 200 times, I think we should be fine by then. What's your thoughts on that, Dr. Jacalyn?
I agree with you. They're great points. We teach people how to treat us. And as you know from my course, Setting Boundaries and Asking Permission, if we're not available to be fully present and listening to someone, giving them the gift of saying, I really would like to listen to you, but I'm unavailable without any excuses, is actually a gift. And it's the same thing when it comes to owning no, when it comes to giving no as an answer, because otherwise you potentially are just wasting someone's time. If you think about it, if you've ever been in a relationship with someone and you knew they weren't into you, you knew, even if it was a friend, somebody at work, they just weren't listening to you because they're not that interested. And that's okay, because I think also we spend a lot of time in life as humans thinking that everyone's thinking about us. And typically no one's thinking about us. And we have this insecurity that, oh, he doesn't like me, she doesn't like me. I just shared that at the gym the other day. I thought, oh, everyone hates me. I don't even know why that popped into my head. And then I thought, what if they do? Who cares? It's their opinion. They can do whatever they want. Just because no one's talking, no one's reaching out. I'm not reaching out to anyone either. So it's just a matter of how we reframe it. And so I believe that saying no is a gift that we give to ourselves and we give to other people. Now, how we deliver the no, is it with anger? Is it nasty, condescending? Do we add a four-letter word in front of it? There's all different ways we can deliver that. But we are actually at the end of our show today. It has flown by. And I just want to, for anyone who wants to continue following us, we've been doing this show for, I think, 4 years now. You can go over to our YouTube channels. Let me bring up this graphic. They are Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck and USA Global TV and Radio. Subscribe to both channels, please, because we do have unique audiences on both. And Mariska, for people who would like to reach out to you, I know you're available on LinkedIn, and I'm going to be pulling that up, but how can you help people, and who is it that you really work well with?
Well, I help leaders. Now, whether you are a new and upcoming leader because you just stepped into it, or you want to step into it, or you have progressed within your leadership space and you are stepping up as a leader and going a little bit higher, there's always different things in these journeys that we take to keep in mind and look at as we grow as leaders. And the way that you can get hold of me, of course, as Dr. Jacalyn mentioned, you can do so via my LinkedIn, which is up on the screen there. Or alternatively, you can also find me on my website, which is discover.com. The reason why I was thinking there is because I wanted to give you my email address. So that is Mariska, Mariska, at journey, JOURNEY, two, discover, DISCOVER.com. So you can either email me, find me on my website, there's a little form to fill in, or alternatively, you can also find me on LinkedIn, and we can start our conversation, whether you are up and coming leader, or alternatively, if you are stepping up in your leadership space. And of course, being from an engineering background myself, all engineers are welcome, or anybody else that has worked within a specialization and looks into going into that human space. So that's how to find me and who to find me.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It was great seeing you, and thank you for taking time out of your busy day there. And we'll look forward to coming back again next week with another fabulous episode. So do subscribe to our channels. Do reach out to Mariska. And as I always say, if you don't walk through the door, we open the door for you. Here it is. You can contact Mariska. You can contact me. You can go onto our channels, and we've got a community there where you can actually post things. We love to hear from our followers. But if you don't do it, you don't know what you're missing. You don't know what's on the other side of that door. So walk through it. All right, we're going to go over to our sponsors, and we thank you again for being here and for all of your supports. Here we go.
Which of these 5 statements sounds mostly like you? 1. I often wake up in the middle of the night worrying about my future. 2. I'm angry or resentful towards a specific person. 3. I have anxious, obsessive, compulsive thoughts throughout the day. 4. I have an addiction like smoking, drinking, shopping, sugar, or social media. And 5, I feel that I'm wasting away my life. Hello, I'm Dr. Alkistis Agio, and for over 25 years, I've been coaching and training people from all over the world to transform their fears, insecurities, anxiety, and anger into mental and emotional freedom. I'm confident that my simple 3-step method based on Greek philosophy can help you to transform into the joyful, confident, free human being that you deserve to be. I want to invite you to join my weekly online coaching group to finally get the results that you want. Look, you've tried it alone so far, and you've had some okay results. But let's face it, you're still feeling stuck right now, spinning your wheels. Einstein said that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Now, unless you realize this as a fact, that you are a prisoner of your own mind, you can't move forward. I'm here to support you, as well as the whole community that we are co-creating. Stop feeling stuck. Stop feeling depressed. You don't have to do it alone, and alone isn't working anyway. Sign up today, and I'll meet you on the inside of our amazing weekly group call. I guarantee that you'll make progress from the very first session.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions. Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.